Hey guys, Ryan here from Indy Wrestling School, and today we're going over how to re-leather a replica or a custom wrestling belt. Coming up. Hey guys, thanks for checking out this video. If you're new here, please consider subscribing below. We put out new videos every single Thursday for 3 Minute Thursday. Now before I start this off, I just want to explain something to everybody out there. I am not a belt re-leathering expert. I'm just one of those people that when it comes time to do something, I like to learn it myself. And belt re-leathering, belt making has been something on my bucket list for a long time. So I figured I'd give it a shot, and I was pretty pleased with how the results came out. So the steps I'm going to give you are what worked for me, and you know, if you're a professional re-leatherer, you might be looking at this stuff and going, oh my god, he's doing everything wrong. I watched a lot of videos, I took what worked for me and applied them to this video, so hopefully they'll help some people out there who might be interested in doing some of this stuff themselves. First thing I had to do was I had to go to a leather shop, which was in Philadelphia, which was about an hour-and-a-half drive for me, to pick up all the tools I needed. I guess you could do most of this stuff online nowadays, but I actually went to a store and picked it all up myself. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut to some of the clips and walk you through step by step what I did to make this work. Alright, so basically what I did was I started out with a belt that was already done. It was done in this kind of crappy red leather that just didn't look good. It was actually painted, and if you can see it there, some of the paint was actually peeling off the leather, so it wasn't dyed, it was painted, and I just didn't like how it looked. So basically I took all the plates off of the belt, as you can see here, and I kind of separated them. I made sure I kept them in the right order because, you know, these are custom belts, right? So they're not made by a factory or anything like that. And basically I traced them out on the leather, and I made sure to wet the leather, press down the plates, so basically those back holes would make an indent in the leather. And then, if you could see here, I actually smashed them with this, basically it's a leather tool that makes holes in these about the same size as those plates. So you see there, it's basically a plastic mallet, and I just kind of hammer it, and it makes the holes for everything. So once I got all the holes knocked out, and you can kind of see the tracing and all that, I wouldn't worry about the marks or anything like that, because this belt was going to be dyed black when it was all said and done, so I made sure to do everything in the black marker. The one thing I would recommend for anybody new is make sure you take your time, measure everything out, really make sure that everything's going to be where you want it to be, because you can measure all day long, but once you make that hole, that's kind of it. So I actually found a little piece of it was for a closet or something like that. I actually found, which actually was about the same distance for these holes here for where the belts were going to be. So I actually used that as a template, but I guess you could use anything. You could use cardboard. And you see here, as I'm stamping down all the little tooling on the leather, I'm keeping the belt wet so it doesn't cause an issue and it goes through real smooth. One thing you do need to do is make sure you hold this thing real steady, because if it slips out of your hand even a little bit, it will make an ugly mark. And as you can see there, I kind of doubled up on some of them. But again, it's my first time doing it, so you know, I'm probably the only one who's going to really notice this stuff. So this was the first one I did. I actually had to do 2 of these belts because it was tag belts. Second one came out much better, and then you can see I started doing the tooling for where the snaps were going to be. I don't know if you saw, but I did not cut any holes out, because from all the videos I saw, people told me that once you snapped these down and then you cut those snaps out, those snaps will move if you cut them first before you do the basically that little die right there. Because the leather does move a bit, right, as you're smashing it down and stuff like that. So I made sure to do that first, and then I cut the holes in it after the fact. So I know it's kind of hard to see, but basically all these little effects really show up when the belt is painted and you put that conditioner on it. So you really, it's good and bad, right, because you notice all the little imperfections as you do it. So I actually cleared out my living room while my wife and kids were away, and just kind of went to town and just re-leathered both belts, and I actually did a third one. And once again, the third one was probably the best one, so each one has gotten better and better. So it's just one of those things that, you know, you just got to try and keep going. If you notice here, I'm using an edge tool, which basically just gets rid of that sharp edge around the outside of the belt. So I ran that around, and as you can see, as I'm doing it, it's actually getting rid of some of those black marks. Right now, I'm kind of dusting it off and getting rid of any imperfections. So this is called a dauber. Basically, it's kind of what they told me to use. I guess you could use a paintbrush if you really wanted to. That's what they told me to use, so I went with it. They were like $10 for a pack of 15 or 20 of them. So the first thing I did was I kind of did the edges, because those will be the hardest to get once the belt is flat. So I did all the edges for the belt, and then I went ahead and kind of did the inside of the belt. You do the back a little bit, but you don't need to go crazy and do the entire back, because you're going to put a back piece on it most of the time. So there I'm kind of covering it, and you can really start to see all the detail work coming out, and you could kind of see how uneven it was for my first time. But honestly, it was really cool to do something like this, and it's something I always wanted to do. So I'm definitely glad I attempted it, and I honestly think at the end of the day the belts turned out pretty good. So you'll see the belt will take a couple coats. I think I did 3 or 4 coats altogether. So there you go. There's the finished first coat right there. And then I would come back and hit it a couple more times. Then I put this leather backing on, which basically is a fake crocodile backing that I got from Walmart, and I started applying the snaps. And what I did was I glued it down, and then I used those safety pins to actually secure the edges. I found that the edges were the hardest part, and they came up the most, so I used that, and it seemed to work out pretty well for me. So now I'm kind of setting the snaps. Honestly, if I had to do it all over again, this is the one thing I would go ahead and bite the bullet and buy the actual setter tool for. There's actually like a press that does this, because I would say if there was 10 snaps there, I probably used 30 because they just didn't work. So I would probably get that press. Once again, you see I'm using the dauber here. This is actually the finishing coat, which comes on. You'll see the kind of bubbles and stuff like that. But once you're all done with this top coat, you usually do 1 or 2. You actually just buff it, and all those bubbles will go away, and you won't see that. But it really gives the belt a nice shine, and it looks pretty cool. Then from there, it's just a matter of getting everything back together here. I don't know if I showed it earlier, but basically all the snaps needed to get back on, and that's essentially the end of the belt. From there, it's pretty much all together, and that's all you really need to do at that point. So that's pretty much everything. Hopefully that helps some people out there, and if you like this video, please beat the shit out of the like button, and I'll see you next week for 3 Minute Thursday.